Hi, I'd like to read this Randall Jarrell poem, The Death of the Alternate Gunner. It's a short poem, and it's short for, I think, a good reason, in which I can discuss a little bit later. But right now, I just want to read it. So let's go ahead and do that. It says, From my mother's sleep, I fell into the state, and I hunched in its belly till my wet fur froze. 6 miles from earth, loose from its dream of life, I woke to black flak and the nightmare fighters. When I died, they washed me out of the turret with a hose. Okay. So, uh, first, the title is the gives you the best information, I guess, on this. It's about a ball turret gunner that dies, and the ball turret is that plexiglass sphere that had two 50 caliber rifles in it, and it was placed in the fuselage of the plane, right in the center in the belly. And it was also placed at the end or behind the plane. So they would experiment just to find the optimal place, and different times it was located in different parts of the plane. Anyway, so but to talk about the poem, I'd like to just dig a little bit deeper, and I want to discuss really the speaker's attitude here. So the first line, it says, "From my mother's sleep, I fell into the state." Already the speaker is telling us where his condition or his thinking comes from. He says, from my mother's sleep. So he was born out of his mom's sleep, and this her sleep here is just the lack of awareness and inability to protect what's hers, and her son being one of those things. So what's causing her sleep? It's not clear to the state, but likely it's war propaganda, since this is an anti-war poem from my mother. So she's kind of, she's probably patriotic and encourages her son to do his patriotic duty and serve the country, um, without really any kind of uh, care for his safety and well-being. So from the beginning, the speaker is blaming his mom. So he's basically transferring uh, any personal responsibility onto to another agent, which is his mom here. And then he says, "I fell into the state." So from her lack of awareness and her unprotection, or not being protective of him, he ends up falling into the state. And he doesn't say he goes into the military or he joins the army. And you don't hear any enthusiasm or excitement about joining and going to faraway places. There's no sense of duty in that phrase, but instead it's he's resigned to a kind of fate that uh, to habits that are going to be imposed upon him, and they don't necessarily come out of him or come from him. And he felt into it, so it was like he's a reluctant actor here. So I fell into the state. Second line, I hunched in its belly till my wet fur froze. And hunched is a bit of a protective gesture, really. So you hunch to kind of avoid being shot at. You hunch to avoid attacks. Um, you hunch for protection, and um, that sounds like what he's doing here. He's hunched in its belly, so he's hunched in the plexiglass sphere in the ball turret. Um, so that second line lets us know his kind of develops the his condition here, which is one of he's very timid and a bit pitiful. Um, and also, you begin to see a theme developing here that's not it's not stated outright, but you get it through the imagery. So you see the idea of the ball turret, the mother hunched, the word belly. Um, so what begins to emerge are some uh, pregnancy imagery, okay, with a fetus, until my wet fur froze. And sort of in line with that, if the wet fur, that could be if we're going to be consistent with this pregnancy imagery, and the fetus in the wet fur could be, um, you know, an amniotic sac on that image. Okay, but the wet fur is a reference to the fur lining of these B-1 jackets that the pilots used to wear. 6 miles from Earth, loose from its dream of life. So here the speaker is really dispossessed of any property. He's loose from the dream of life, of his future. This is a really a dismal outlook in that line. 6 miles from Earth, so he's really disconnected and dispossessed from life. It says, I woke to black flak and the nightmare fighters. So when he wakes up, it's too late. That's why it's a bit pitiful. Okay. Last line, when I die, they wash me out of the turret with a hose. It's very plain spoken and designed to capture the callousness of, his individual. Uh, there's nothing unique about him. He's just kind of like washed out like the rest. And that also completes this pregnancy, or this abortion imagery here in the poem. Um, so there's lots of things in the poem that are a few layers here that are, if you dig at them, you can excavate them. Um, but it's a good thing that it is a short poem because there's lots of eh, un, uh, unpleasant things about this particular speaker. Anyway, that's it. So hope you enjoyed it.